Welcome back. It's the conversation on Morning Spring, and we appreciate that you are still here with us. Right now, we are going to be looking at a recent circular issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria unveiling new revised guidelines on the management of dormant accounts, unclaimed balances, and other financial assets in banks and other financial institutions in the country. And the new framework, the new guidelines mandates the financial institutions to ensure that accounts that have remained dormant for over 10 years are, transferred to the custody of the Apex Bank. This new circular has elicited controversy in different quarters, especially among Nigerians, asking why does the CBN want this fund transferred to its territory? To help us have a better understanding of this issue, we are joined by an investment consultant and a business analyst, Mr. Aseda. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Aseda.
Yeah, my pleasure being here. Good morning.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's just get right into it. We do not have much time. Why do you think the Central Bank of Nigeria dropped this circular mandating all banks and financial institutions to transfer funds that have remained, and also dormant accounts that have remained dormant for over 10 years to its territory? What do you think the Central Bank of Nigeria wants to use this money for?
Now, really, what they want to use the money for, well, they have to be the ones to tell us for us to be able to know that. But however, sometimes when a country is going through a critical situation that affects its economy, maybe a critical, maybe depression in the economy, that governments do not have funds, or that needs urgent funds, or need critical funds, or maybe in a time of war, for example, you have Ukrainian government that is at war with Russia. So they could go and reach out to pockets of places where you have stagnated funds in the economy, to move these funds for the use of the government in those critical times. So it could either be war, or you have critical economic need that may necessitate the government to want to move dormant monies in the economy for the use of the government to move the economy forward. So, but however, if you want to look at what we're going through compared to what we're going through right now, and you will say that, okay, fine, Nigeria is not in a very good place when it comes to the economy, and that the government may be looking for places where they can actually raise cheap funds to be able to use. For example, a dormant account, if an account enters dormancy at a particular date, 10 years after that date, the account will still be reflecting the same amount of money, which is saying that there's nothing is happening to that account in terms of transaction. So that money is just sitting down in the bank. However, that those money cannot just be sitting down in the bank. The banks are using the money for trading and making profits from these monies, including unclaimed subsidy dividends. So this money can't be taken by the government, because the banks they are not accountable for this money. They are not, nobody's making demand for it, and they are not making any return to the owners of those funds. So again, the government, given the situation of the country, the government may want to take this money for use in the economy. You know that the federal government kept saying that they did not have money. So this could be a source of cheap fund for them to be able to use to fund governance and move the economy forward.
All right. So in that circular to all banks released, data July 19, 2024, entitled Guidelines on Management of Dormant Account, Unclaimed Balances, and Other Financial Assets in Banks and Other Financial Institutions in Nigeria, we got to know that this is actually legal, because it says that in paragraph 2, it says the revised guidelines which operationalizes section 72 of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, both year 2020, followed engagement and consultant with relevant stakeholders whose comments and recommendations were considered in the review process. It, amongst others, standardizes the management of dormant accounts, unclaimed balances, and financial assets, and outlines the procedure for the administration of these balances, funds, and assets by banks and other financial institutions in Nigeria. But how do you think this will impact how do you think this will impact the financial markets? How do you think the banks will react to these? Will it affect the bank in any way? And also, for those who have their accounts that has gone into dormancy, how do you think it will be easy for them to, retrieve their accounts when they want to? Two questions in one.
First thing that we have to understand that, normally the banks are not supposed to have access or in that access to these funds because it belongs to people. Now, to my mind, it's possible that this amount of money, we don't know how much these funds translates to. However, what we know is that the Nigerian banks may be using these funds to run their businesses, without the cost to them, because they are not making any returns to the owners of those funds. Now, that said, it's possible again that that the CBN is trying to get the bank to be more effective in the discharge of their duties. For example, the bank is supposed to be able to source for their money. Now, one thing we have to understand about Nigerian bank is that Nigerian banks are not effective in the Nigerian economy. And I will say this I will protest this by saying this, that Nigerian banks have not been borrowing or lending enough, you understand, to the Nigerian economy or to the Nigerian businesses. So you find that the majority of their monies or of their profits is not from operations, normal banking operations. A lot of it is coming from charges and all that stuff. So banks ought to be more adventurous in terms of their operations and impact, in order to have proper impact in the economy. That has to be mentioned, that the Nigerian banks are not as effective as the banks should be in an economic space. So maybe, possibly, the CBN in its wisdom is thinking, let's move this money away from them, because if they don't have access to this cheap funds, maybe they'll be more effective in this job. They will discharge their duties to the economy more. So we can only speculate why this is happening. Truth about is that I expect them.
All right, network connectivity there. We hope to reconnect with Mr. Aseda.
All right. We might have to reconnect with Mr. Aseda. Very important point he's making there. That the reasons why the CBN is doing this at this time has not been given. They are only churning out the guidelines, the revised guidelines, to say management of dormant accounts, unclaimed balances, and other financial assets in banks and other financial institutions in Nigeria. This is what to do at this time. And that revised guidelines, section 72 of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions, both year 2020, and they said, according to them, followed engagement and consultations with relevant stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders whose comments and recommendations were considered in the review process. Now, the end game is what is part of what we're trying to establish here. Why are they doing this? You know, Mr. Aseda, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you are going to land on your thought.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you now.
All right, very well. Moving
can you hear
on.
Me?
Yes, thank you. Moving on, you know, let's talk about what happens, you know, and what many persons we expect. Okay, dormant accounts of over 10 years or 10 years and above should, you know, should be mopped up off to the central bank. Now, I'd like to ask this way, for laymen who are watching this program and for the purpose of education, which is part of why this program is up every weekday, why we do this. And one would say, why should a deposit money bank or financial institutions wait for 10 years without, you know, reaching out to a customer? Because we know it's a standard procedure. Every account, every customer has an account officer who, you know, sees to that particular account. Now, if a customer has an account with a bank and he or she has been consistent, either a private account or a company account, and over the years, for a period of 10 years, now these nest of kings, the customers, they have address, they have their detail, and it's a standard procedure that they must have nest of kin. Is it not within the mandate of any bank to reach out to customers, and if they can't get the customer, this particular person, reach out to the next of kin? Why you wait perpetually for 10 years or forever? And, you know, according to the words of the street, people will feel maybe bank officials will even prefer that the customers doesn't show up so that they can make use of the fund. These are allegations from the street. I know you might have had something like that. If I have an account with you, you have my detail, you have the detail of my next of kin. Why not reach out to me to say, what is happening? Your fund is with us. We have not been seeing your activity with us. But the same bank will reach out if actually that customer is owing the bank. If that customer gets a loan and is not paying up or he dies, they will reach out to the next of kin. Why not do same? Oh, okay. All right. We'll try and get him. The network is doing us dirty. The service this morning. Because I think I asked the same question yesterday on our program to say, if somebody is owing, and you know, banks will reach out, will find every means necessary. Now, even if it's within the activity of paying that loan that the customer dies or something happened or any eventuality, they will reach out. They will take over the collateral if actually that customer is unable to pay. But if that customer is having money with you, you have not been hearing that they will reach out to say, oh, your dad, your mom, or the next of kin, whatever the relationship is, has some fun with us. Is that legal? If it is legal, is it moral? I don't know if morality works in banking, by the way.
And there are also allegations that banks purposely, deliberately make this process to claim the funds left by a loved one very, you know, difficult, very challenging.
Rigorous.
They make the process rigorous, so that at the end of the day you get frustrated and you're like, well, let's just leave the money. Okay, we understand.
Mr. Aseda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not. Did you hear my question before? Okay, let me
please
ask,
come again.
Yeah, let me ask the question again. And the question is this: is it not within the mandate of a bank, for example, to reach out to their customer to say, or their next of kin, to say, we can't reach our customer, you are the next of kin that he or she has given us. The fund is there, we have not been seeing his or activity over the years. Don't they have that mandate? Should they sit there perpetually, knowing fully well that they have the detail of the customer and the next of kin in case of eventuality? That's why they get this detail, isn't it?
Well, yes. I think, well, the banks can do that.
But they don't.
Honestly, but yes, well, to the next of kin, I don't know about it. But I used to have, I have an account with one of the traditional banks in Nigeria. They have not operated the accounts for over 10 years. But I got an SMS some weeks ago, maybe some days ago, maybe last week, that my account is going to enter into dormancy unless I do some transaction on it. And I have another one in a new generation bank that I went to. I've not used it for a while now, but I know that I wanted to use it. I went and I found out that it was dormant, and they had to start the process of trying to reactivate it. So every now and then, you get. In fact, I have an account in about 3 banks, 2 of them traditional ones, and each time maybe one of my accounts with them is going to dormancy, they will send a message to my phone. Okay, so if, for example, an account holder with a bank is late, the chances are that the family are not going to keep in the number around, the phone number around. So if the bank should send message to that customer, to that line that's no longer active, the family are not going to get it. But I don't know ever whether the bank has ever reached out to next of kin to ask about the account holder.
Mr. Aseda, that's exactly
that.
my point I was trying to make. But this same situation you have posited is, fair that they do that, they send text. But the thing is, if the said customer is owing a bank, if actually has taken a loan, the bank will not just send text. They will go all the way to find the family, find the collateral, find the next of kin. If actually they can exert that same energy, if a customer is defaulting and possibly dies, why can't they do same?
Well, I think the CBN will be the person to be, the body to be able to tell them to do that. But I don't think that the bank has, moral obligation from the bank, yes. But in terms of procedural, I don't think that is there. So, but if that guideline is provided by the CBN, I'm sure the banks will follow.
All right, fair enough.
So,
yeah, Mr. Aseda, for the want of time, sorry, because we've had our own fair share of technology issues. Now, very quickly, do you fear, because with the current state of this nation, the economy is not doing so well, not doing well at all. Let's call it spade a spade. Inflation is at on-time high. We are not generating revenue as we should. Infrastructure deficiency here and there. And the government is saying, maybe we are not broke, but we need every money that we can get, to fund some of these plans of the government, the budget, and the rest of it. Do you fear that now the bank mopping up, funds in dormant accounts, there is the part of the guideline on one side that this is the standard procedure, we should have it. But do you fear something sinister? Maybe there is a motive for the government to make use of these funds and it might not be accounted for. And you know what happens? I think Evelyn asked that the other time, to say, to get your money from normal bank can be rigorous. Now, if you have to go through the rigor of getting your money, if actually you want to activate that account from the CBN, how easy would that be if actually the government will go ahead and use that particular fund? First of all, do you fear any sinister motive from the government of the day?
Well, naturally, we will fear. We will exercise some fear, some apprehension with regards to the use of the money or by the government,
Okay. Are you still there?
You have had the situation where you have, monies being borrowed even from international lenders, and there are not proper accountability for these funds that have been borrowed. and so on and so forth. So there will be some level of apprehension. But I also think that when this money is moved to the CBN, the government do not automatically have access to this money. There's a procedure by which the government, this money is going to be with the CBN, and the government, if the government needs to use this money, the government will have to apply for it, and as a form of a loan from CBN. But to my mind, the CBN is going to be in custody of this money, and then the CBN should be the one that Nigerian people should hold responsible or accountable for this money or the use of this money. So as far as I'm concerned, I also know that whenever you have this kind of shift or change in positions in the financial institutions, there are always new procedures and processes to ensure that these monies are accounted for, and that the owners of this money can access. As far as I'm concerned, if you have a dormant account in a Nigerian bank, what you need to do is to go to those banks and start your process of reactivating your account. And once that process starts, what I know that possibly will happen is that there will be a longer path for the approval and processing of these funds. Because again, if you ask your bank, bank is obligated to answer you. So now, if that money has been moved to the CBN, when you request for that money by process of reactivation, the bank will pass your claim or your request to the CBN for approval. So the length of the approval will just go longer. But of course, the CBN is obligated to release that fund once you are asking for it. So I don't expect that it will be difficult it will be impossible for people to access the monies that they have in dormant accounts or their unclaimed dividends. But what I know that could possibly happen now is that the process will be longer than usual. Okay, so but I expect that the CBN being involved should ensure that the process is seamless and that the process is as brief as possible. So, but I also hear the question that Evelyn raised before the camera went off with regards to why do the banks make the process of reclaiming on their loved ones, their dead loved ones, assets at the bank, which includes balances in their accounts and their unclaimed dividends. Now, I will tell you that there might possibly be two reasons. Number one is that the process has got to be as rigorous. I wouldn't use the word difficult. Should be rigorous because to prevent fraud, and because it's possible that a person may not be dead, and the family or somebody, an unscrupulous person in the family, may want to have access to that to the account of that person and begin to go through the process of trying to claim it. So the bank has got to make that process rigorous, for such claims. So that's it. But at the same time, it also has to be seamless. There has to be a guideline. Okay, this is what you do. This is what you do. It must be clear ab initio to the applicants, or the next of kin. It should be clear what you need to be do ab initio, so that they know that, okay, I'll go from this step to another step to be able to claim what I need, what I wanted. But at the same time, I also know that that's the sinister part of it, because we know that the banks these monies are not sitting down in the banks for nothing. These monies are being used by the bank for their day-to-day operations, and this is cheap fund because they will use it. They don't have to make a return to that to the account owner.
Right.
So so then they may be reluctant to let go of what they are using for. I mean, to get free free profits.
All right.
So that may be another angle to that.
Very well.
All right, so there's also the concern of if CBN gets hold of those funds and uses it for what they want to use it for, would the account holders, I mean those whose funds were transferred from the commercial banks and other financial institutions to the Apex Bank, have profits on their own funds that were in the banks, because they believe that if CBN is making use of these funds, investing it in whatever they want to invest it, they also should be able to have a share of the profit gotten from those transactions. I just wanted you to, shed more light on that.
I don't think that I don't think that applies, because ab initio, the accounts has already entered into dormancy. The account owner knows how long, technically knows how long it takes for the account to be in dormancy. And by the operations of the banks ought to, is believed to have, informed the account owner that, look, your account is going into dormancy or has gone into dormancy, and tell them what to do to reactivate. And if they did not reactivate, it means that we can say that they don't need the money. Okay, so so that would be the case, and then the money is just sitting down there, not taking any profit. But of course, like I said, whatever money is in the account of the banks are being used by the bank for their trading and so on and operations. So okay, so that's it. But technically speaking, that money is not doing anything. So now, if and ditto for unclaimed dividend, because yes, you have shares, definitely you have to have dividends for those shares, and you ought to be able to, you should claim your dividend. And you know that the Nigerian government have tried with the SEC to ensure that stock management or dividend management has become electronic and automatic, so that it is now attached to your account. So if you have an account and you have processed your stocks to e-format, so your dividend goes directly to your bank account. Okay, so that has been done over the years. So unclaimed dividend, that process was put in place to end the problem of unclaimed dividends. So now, if you have not done that, and then you have your shares, maybe the ones that you bought many years ago, and they have not been converted, they've not been electronic, made to be electronic. Yeah, then it is your fault, because that process has been put in place. So any unclaimed dividend as of today can be assumed that it is not wanted. So if somebody is owing such is holding or has a shares, maybe the person is late. So the onus is on the family to find a way of retrieving those dividends and then the stock, so for their family use. So if you have not done that, then you cannot blame anybody for that. So, but then if that money is sitting down there, I think the government, if there is a need for it, and which of course, there are rules for these things, it can be used. Okay, so it can be used and it will be used, but it will be returned. So just in case that the owners of that money will come one day and say, you know what, we want our money back, and then having fulfilled all the requirements, will be granted access to their funds. So that's the way it is. But I don't think that. But again, you have to know that such funds are just sitting down there doing nothing.
Mr. Aseda, because we are pressed for time. For clarity's sake, for people whose account has gone into dormancy, or people whose loved ones have dormant accounts, with this circular now, can they still go to the banks to initiate the process of reactivating their dormant accounts or claiming the
Certainly,
funds
certainly,
left by their loved ones?
certainly, they can.
Okay.
They can.
Very well.
So the process is very simple. You go to your account is with the bank. You go there and say, okay, I want to reactivate my account. That is all that you have to do. It's none
All
of
right,
your business
Mr.
whether the
Aseda,
bank the money
yeah,
will be
to
transferred to
round it
CBN.
off, so what you're saying with this guideline coming from the CBN and with unclaimed dividends, dormant accounts, and what you have said, are you saying there is no cause for alarm? It's just standard procedure?
I don't think there's a cause for alarm. I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think so. The only problem that we could have, and which I think the media need to spearhead, is to ask the CBN questions concerning the use of
Such
that
fund.
fund,
All right.
that's been moved
Fair
to their
enough.
care. And if the federal government is going to use that money, then also we need to ask the government for accountability
Fair enough.
for the
Of
use
course,
of funds.
trust us to do that, and that's what we always do here, seeking that we're accountable both as leaders and as followers as well. And, equity, probity, accountability, that's what we are here for. I want to sincerely thank you, business consultant and investment strategist as well, and business analyst, Jose Aseda. Thank you for your time and your take, as always. We appreciate you, and that will be the size of the program. Really, on the lighter note, especially with those troubles we had in the last few months or last few years about people having difficulty accessing their money. It would be like when you want to deposit, it's as sweet as possible.
Yeah.
Even this dormant account, sometimes you can still send money and it will go through. But for you to retrieve your fund, it looks like you are joining Elon Musk in some technological advancement journey. But trust us to stay on this matter and more matters as well. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow for another edition, the midweek edition of this program. Please follow us on all our social media handles displaying on your screen, on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, and also on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. Femi Ojo remains my name. Enjoy the rest of your day and be careful. Bye.
And I am Evelyn Ohiolei. Do well to stay tuned for Spring Trends right after this broadcast.